Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right, my beautiful people. Well, welcome to Threshold Thursday here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am filled with gratitude that you've joined me today as we continue our March journey of letting go and releasing limited beliefs. Well, this week has been truly transformative. On Monday, Dr. Will and I, we explored on how to identify those sneaky limited beliefs that keep us stuck in patterns of doubt and fear. And on Tuesday, I shared my personal struggle with vertigo and how it has become a powerful teacher about the wisdom in our imbalance. And yesterday, Lori Perriente illuminated on how we can reclaim our light by releasing what no longer serves us. Well, today we stand at the powerful threshold, the sacred place between holding on and letting go. It's the moment of decision when we choose to release what we've been carrying, sometimes for years or even generations, and step into a new way of being. But before we dive in deeper, let's take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here on this Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back.
Washington Wellness Institute focuses on healing always. For me, if I look good, then I feel good. If I feel good, then I share the good. If I share the good, then I celebrate the good. If I celebrate the good, then I live the good. So I can be paid to be my greatest. But I have to learn the good to be the good.
So, what does it take to be the greatest? It's as simple as a free 15-minute consultation. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
Hey, it's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks, and make sure you tune in every Thursday night to Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, where we talk about everything from love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more. We're bridging the gap between them all, and we even talk about spiritual uplifting. You need to stop by. Me and Dr. Mike, as well as the BTG crew. We have some amazing guests that come through. You never know. Just make sure you tune in Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to axnyomi.com and tell them Nyomi sent you. All right, my beautiful people, well, welcome back. Well, before we dive deeper into this conversation, let's take a moment to ground ourselves and open our hearts to receive today's message, all right? So if you can find a comfortable position, if you're in a safe space and you feel like closing your eyes, please do. Now I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Now hold it for a moment and release slowly through your mouth. Now I want you to imagine yourself standing at a threshold, a beautiful doorway filled with golden light. And on one side is everything that you've been carrying, your doubts, your fears, your limited beliefs. And on the other side, this expanded version of yourself, free, radiant, and fully expressed. Now, as you breathe, I want you to feel yourself gathering courage to step through this doorway. And with each exhale, I want you to release what no longer serves you. Now I want you to place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. And I want you to feel the wisdom in your body. It knows exactly what you need to release. And it knows precisely what's weighing you down. And with one final deep breath, I want you to affirm silently. I release what no longer serves me. I step through this threshold with courage and grace. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes. All right, my beautiful people, if you are new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something that we do every day, Monday through Friday, just to help ground us before we get into the topic at hand. Well, my beautiful people, today we're going to talk about something that's been coming up again and again this week. And that's the dance between identifying what's holding us back and actually letting it go. You see, there's knowing and then there's releasing. There's two different steps in this sacred dance. So I want you guys to remember that Dr. Will shared with us on Monday that the first step in breaking free of our limited beliefs is acknowledging the type of person that we've become, right? It's about seeing clearly on where we are, and that's knowing the part. Then, as Lori taught us yesterday, that we must create space for the new by actively releasing what no longer serves us. Using the tools like her beautiful practice of raising them arms up and saying, I close all doors and pathways, and I ground into my energy alone. You see, this threshold is that space between knowing and releasing. It's where transformation truly happens. This is where we make that choice to step into a new way of being. You see, my beautiful people, now let's talk about 3 sacred thresholds that we all face on the journey of letting go. 3. The first one is the threshold of truth. You see, with the first threshold we must cross is the threshold of truth. This is where we get radically honest with ourselves about what we're carrying and whether it's still serving us. So remember on Tuesday when I shared about my vertigo, that it took my body literally spinning me in circles to get me to acknowledge the truth, that I was pushing myself too hard, and that I was valuing my productivity over well-being. You see, as Dr. Will has taught us, that this is about acknowledging the dark, the gray, and the light within us. It's about shining a light on what we've been avoiding. You know, the funny thing is that when I remember when Dr. Will was sharing that with me, and I remember when I purchased my home here in Las Vegas, and I remember thinking of my decor on the color schemes of each room. And I know I've shared this before with you, my listeners, but in my home, in the very first 2 rooms, as soon as you walk into my door, there is a black and white room. They both are black and white walls with white and black interiors. My thing is black and white and then shades of gray. And then the back is, of course, blue with greenery and stuff like that. And it's more of a transition in life. You know, a lot of times we want to see everything from black and white. Is it here or here? But there are gray areas in there. And for me, when I think about the gray areas, I think about understanding and grace for others. I think about that gray area is for us to go through our trials and tribulations and learn in that gray area. And once we come out of that gray area, it becomes colorful with the bright colors of the blues, the greens, the yellows. Does that make sense? So when I think about that, knowing how I set up my home and that order to transition, to transform, is just fitting that we are here now. As we are in the black and white room, and then we go through the threshold, and in that threshold, it's black and then it's gray. One wall is black and one wall is a shade of gray. And then you go into my family room and into, I forgot the bathroom is shades of gray and white. And then you go into the kitchen and the family room, and then there are shades of gray, then black. And then now I've put gold in there. And then you go out the sliding doors to the backyard, the oasis, to where now there's a beautiful pool, a blue water, a garden with green. You understand, when you see the beautiful, flowers and plants, and giving that whole vivid picture of just that fully peace and transformation. And I got to go back to what Dr. Will was telling me on Monday about knowing what my empowerment is. And if it didn't honor that empowerment of my peace, of wanting and desiring peace. And that's what we talk when we talk about letting go, when we're talking about on that threshold. So here are some exercises that I will love for you to do. I want you to take out your journal and I want you to complete this sentence, all right? If I'm being completely honest with myself, what's really holding me back is. I'm going to repeat that again. If I'm being completely honest with myself, what's really holding me back is. And I want you to write whatever comes up, no matter how uncomfortable that it is. Truth is the first threshold that we must cross. And as I just read that to you all, if I'm being completely honest with myself, what's really holding me back is me. I have to tell myself, get out your damn way. Get out. And a lot of times it do be us with the doubts, creating our own stories or imaginary stories, whatever. But let's get that out the way. Let's look that truth right in the eye. Go to that mirror and look at that truth and speak it and say what it is, and then say, okay, now what are we going to do about it? And that takes us to number 2, the threshold of release. So once we acknowledge our truth, we face the threshold of actually letting it go. This is where many of us get stuck. We know what's holding us back, but we cling to it anyway. And sometimes it's because it's familiar. And sometimes it's because we've built our identity around it. Is that Lori has shared a beautiful practice for energetic protection and release, remember? She said, I close all doorways and pathways, and I ground into my energy alone. This is a powerful way to consciously release what no longer is serving you. Here's another exercise that I want you to try. I want you to stand up and physically embody this release, all right? I want you to raise your arms up, and I want you to declare out loud. I now release, and I want you to name the limited belief. It no longer defines me or controls me. And I want you to feel that energetic shift as you speak these words. Okay, and the last one is the threshold of reclamation, to reclaiming. This is the final threshold to perhaps is the most beautiful, because this is where we reclaim parts of ourselves that we've denied or dimmed. So as Lori emphasized yesterday, that it's about reclaiming the light. When I spoke about my experience in returning to the adult industry convention, remember that? And I realized that I was reclaiming a part of my journey that I had previously tried to distance myself from. But by embracing my whole story, all of it, I found a deeper level of freedom and authenticity. So here's another exercise. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to ask yourself, what part of me is waiting to be reclaimed? Maybe it's your creativity. Maybe it's your voice. Maybe it's your power. or your joy. And I want you to write a letter welcoming this part back to you. Write a letter welcoming this part of yourself back home. My beautiful people, crossing these thresholds isn't just a one-time event. It's a practice. Each day we choose again to face our truth, to release what no longer serves us, and to reclaim our wholeness. So as we prepare for tomorrow's Freedom Friday, I invite you to reflect on which threshold feels most challenging for you right now. Is it the acknowledging the truth? Is it actually letting go? Or is it reclaiming parts of yourself that you've kept hidden? And if you don't mind, I got a little homework. Yeah, I do. I want you to create a sacred space for yourself if you have it, and maybe light a candle or play some soft music. All right. And I want you to write down one limited belief that you're ready to release. And I want you to perform a simple release ritual. You might burn the paper, bury it, or simply tear it up while declaring, I release it now. And in your year of rebirth workbook, I want you to document how this feels to stand at this threshold. And please share your experience with us using the Season of Self-Love hashtag or hashtag Threshold Thursday. And I want you to remember that your willingness to share your journey helps others find the courage to face their own threshold. So until tomorrow on Freedom Friday, I want you to remember that the space between who you were and who you are becoming is a sacred ground. I want you to honor the threshold and trust the process. And know that I am right here with you, stepping through my own doorways of transformation. So my beautiful people, have an amazing, amazing day. And thank you for sharing this moment with me. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.